Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GameDay Squad rugby. No, it's not. It's the Aussie Rules live show. We got some league chat going on. PPS, mate. Unfortunately, the boys went through their entire preview last night. So if you want to get eyes on, definitely get eyes on that. We're here to talk about the great game of Aussie Rules. And I'm joined by sort of my good friend, not anymore because he keeps beating me, and a very special guest in Stealth, a member of our community, a legend. Mate, welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thank you, Tom, and thank you, Cal. You guys are awesome. We all love GDS, and it's really nice to jump on the show for a week.
Yes, for sure.
Have you on, mate. And it's great to have another person on here as well that likes was beating Tom this year as well. So I'm not just going to cop all the brunt of it. I think
he's my enemy from week one who knocked me out of the GDS Cup. Auntie Booger coming to Marco territory. Fair enough. Fair play, Auntie Boogs.
Right on cue. I was really going for Auntie Booger. I think a lot of people over in the Discord were, Tom. Week one of our brand new GDS Cup, and you fell short, which was fantastic. I love to see it. Congratulations, Auntie Booger. I'm not taking anything away from you. That was awesome. So
8 entire fantasy points, just 8 in it in the end. And yeah, look, there was a lot of self-bleeding. But anyway, I don't want to get into it. I'm scarred. I did drop Zorko, and that was probably the one thing that was the sword to my round. But that's okay. The best thing about GameDay Squad is not only is it seasonal, we do weekly stuff. So I'm here to talk about round 4, a brand new round. And for anyone that's new around here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a look at some of the lineups and look at the big key ins and outs. And Cal, there's a big one for your Port Power this round. We'll get into that in a second. Then we'll go to my rankings. We'll have a look at who I think are the top 10 or 5 at every position for this round. And then we'll do some squad previews. Stealth has kindly put together his classic squad for this round. We'll get into Cal's. We'll wrap it all up with mine. And that'll be just about the show. That'll nearly get you to the footy. Then you can grab a beverage, grab a snack or some dinner, and enjoy some really good footy. So we ready to hop in, fellas?
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get underway.
Let's do it.
First game, and that's the one tonight. We already knew lineups about this. Honestly, not too much there. But the next game, Tommy Stewart back in for the Geelong Cats. So big in, definitely someone that'll be on coach's radars to get into the squad. A bit of a smoky, Keziah Pickett in for Melbourne. Melbourne's forward line has been struggling. Could Kozzy Pickett come in, be a bit of a pod play for some coaches to go with?
No.
Who knows?
No, do not play anyone in that Melbourne forward line. Move on.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They're just, haven't got it going. Josh Rochelle out for the Crows.
That's a sneaky one that I think a few people have been sort of streaming in for weekly stuff. So that hurts. But yeah, it doesn't really hurt the other forwards, but we'll get to them. Keep going.
He's out for about 4 or 6 weeks, isn't he?
Yeah, it's had a big hit and stopped the play. I think it was ribs, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he copped it pretty tough. But does it open the door for someone who's been playing really well in Benny Keys? Maybe. He's been playing extremely well with Shelley gone. Do they lean on him a little more? Richmond Lions, not too much there. My Swannies, Papley out. I'd like to say that's a significant out, but these days, not so much. Over to, nothing there. And then the last game, I guess, or one of the last games, your Port Power versus Saints. Butters in, and then Jack Steele in for the Saints as well. But that probably wraps it up about there in terms of the players that you might be considering for this round.
Yeah, Butters obviously the biggest name out of all of that. Stewart actually playable. Butters top 7 for midfielder last year. Not a set and forget. I wouldn't be playing him this week. But it will be interesting because a lot of people are already starting to fade Horn Francis, who everyone thought would be just out and out stud as a forward. So I'm keen to see if you even have Horn Francis in your top 10, because I don't think the opportunities become more with Butters coming into that midfield. So, but we'll get to that. The easy defender rankings, your top 10. So explain to someone that is new how you do this, Tom. What are we looking at?
Yeah, okay. So I guess most of the time they're sort of in order, but, my top 7 here are the actual players that I'm playing in my squad. Now, I just picked some fancy colors and stuff for looks. Okay, I'm not playing the exact rarities of these colors. I'll show you those a little later on. But these are the players that I'm rolling. And then you can see my last 3 players. Let's call them fringe players or players that maybe, if I second guess myself, I might sub in right at the last minute. But they're the people that I was considering, but we'll start from the top. The top two, let's say, Lockie Whitfield, Dane Zorko. If I just learnt my lesson, I said they're set and forget. Should have played them both last round and would have won the GDS Cup. But yeah, you just can't not play them. I assume we'll get into your squad a little later, Stealth, but those maybe top two for the entire season.
Yeah, look, I think definitely for this round, and Zorko is definitely the first picked of every team this week. He's going to be 100% of the teams and 100% of the GDS Cup winning teams this week. Whitfield, look, he's a lock as well. If he has a bad game, you're going to be riding the bad game with everybody else. So definitely the top two. Maybe not for the whole season. Zorko's quite old, so I'm not really keen to lock him in for the year. But for this week and potentially next week, you can't go wrong with Zorko.
Yeah, absolutely. And, mate, feel free while I'm going through my rankings to just absolutely roast anything or call out anything that you think doesn't belong, or maybe you want to give me some words of encouragement. Maybe it's something good. The ball is in your hands. But Wanganeen Millera, massive on him, young stud. I said I think he's the best of the two Saints players. I did say last round, though, I didn't have Sinclair in, and I said, what's the bet Sinclair outperforms Wanganeen Millera?
I don't want to hear that, though, because I sat here and I told you, I wasn't here on the show last week, but I told you Sinclair, ball's going to be in the middle a bit more, easy matchup against Richmond. He's going to be the better player. That one, I thought you got that one wrong. I tried to warn you. I try to, I wasn't going to give you too much of a head start. Yeah. Against Port, though, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a bit of a closer game, so I think they come back together. But again, I'd be shocked if someone didn't have at least one of those two, if not both of them, in this. Yeah.
So what's your call if people are deciding between one of the two?
Well, so I'm historically have lost this battle every single time I've been asked this. I think last season it was like 15 rounds in a row. So my suggestion to everyone is when I go for one and I say one's better, play the other one. And I'm actually playing both this round. So I've gone Wanganeen Millera and Sinclair, but I have Wanganeen Millera just a little higher than Sinclair this round. So take that as you will. I think that means load up on Sinclair because he's about to explode if history repeats itself, which it has.
Yeah, no, look, I've got both as well, but I'm putting Sinclair above Wanganeen Millera this week. Yep. Just for the kick points, it's 4 points for a kick, and I just really feel like he's going to. They could end up on the same number of possessions, and Sinclair's going to have the highest GDS fantasy points for the round.
Yeah, for sure. Look, Sinclair's definitely got to get that opportunity to sort of shark that contest around the back as well. And we know that the Port midfield, although can fire, can also leak a lot of points. So the more he's in the middle, I think the better for Sinclair, and he'll definitely get that chance to score. So can't disagree with that.
And I don't know if this is just me with my Port goggles on, but Wanganeen Millera, talk of him being wooed by Port, playing against them in Adelaide. Could go either way.
Yes.
Could go either way. South Australian. I think I'm going to go Wanganeen Millera as my pick higher. Again, I think Port will be a little bit better than Richmond were, meaning the ball's down back a little bit more. I really hope I'm not wrong. Wouldn't like to see Port get dumped. But yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either.
Yeah, for sure. Both great players. Max Holmes. Really big on him for the season. After round one, I just said, midfield player, playing in defense, huge opportunity to score. He's just going to have that role all year long. There's really no one that's going to come in and become that sort of M1 over him. So I'm huge on his year with Geelong, and I just think most rounds, especially in a round against the Ds, where the Ds have been decimated by really good mids to start this year, Holmesy is a big in. Make sure you've got him in your squad. Didn't have him last week with some weather concerns, but for me this round, full steam ahead. Get him in. Loving what I can see from him. Number 6, though, this was really hard. I feel like it got really hard here to sort of pick and differentiate between some defenders. Sheasel probably hasn't had the start that we would have wanted from him to start 2025. Not to say he's playing bad. He's still averaging 115 fantasy points, but I think the community sort of views him as maybe a 120, 130 player, or at least that sort of upside every round. Playing in the guts as well. So really feels like that it should all be coming together. Maybe just not to start the year.
I wouldn't be jumping off Sheasel. If we're calling 26 touches, 5 tackles a bad game, then we'll take it.
Standard,
like
as
we're
well.
saying with Whitfield. We'll roll with it. It was his lowest score. So I'd be shocked if people aren't rolling with Sheasel again this week.
And I don't think it's time to get off. Oh, sorry, Stolf, go, mate.
No, I was just going to say that was a big decision for my round this week as well. I was leaning towards getting off him, but with 7 positions and he scored over 100 in the first 3 games, I think it's the wrong move to actually get off him. You know, if he pulls a 102 like last week or anything higher than that, then he is going to be a top 7 for the round, and you don't want to be losing ground on trying to make a pod call.
Yeah, and the upside is just too big. Playing in the middle, we've known some of the games he's had. Like the one round you get off him, he's going to score 150 and just burn you for it. So it's probably not one of the players you want to mess with.
Not this round, not this early in the season. And I agree with you. He's top 6 or top 7, but we don't get any points for ranking them. So he's in the squad, and whether he's first or 7th, it doesn't really matter.
For sure. Let me get into my number 7 because this was definitely the hardest one. Had a tough round last round. Got the tag as well. So we saw that they were really trying to neutralise and stop Bailey Dale. I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. I've spoken about his opportunity to score this year with Libba and Treloar still out. They need a primary ball user. Not Libba, sorry. Treloar and Bott still out. Libba's been phenomenal. Dale, has also been extremely good. And I think he's going to bounce back. I can't see him getting tagged every round. I think he's going to get back to his best and sort of get more towards that 120 that we've been seeing from him in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've got Dale in there at the moment, but he's definitely my 7th.
7th as well.
I'm not sold. I wouldn't be surprised. The thing for me is I actually don't think there's a better option coming through. I don't know another pod that I'd be playing. I don't love the 2 you're about to go through here, and I don't have anyone.
You don't like Jaden Short?
I know someone. Don't like Jaden Short this week. I know someone in the chat, Kane Farrell. I love rolling him out to surprise a few people, but no. I can see why he's on the fence with it. Normally we have a Freo guy, so Clark I was looking at, but they're obviously going up against the Dogs. The Dogs restrict the most points to defenders halfback, so it's just a bit of a dead zone where some of those Freo players that are normally in and around this aren't there. So I wouldn't be surprised. Stealth, are you playing Dale this week?
I guess I've got to introduce and just say that Dale's one of my favourite fantasy players out there, even though he's not the top scorer. But I had a look at his games versus Fremantle, and especially the 2 games ago at Optus Stadium, and he came away on a 24-point loss. He came away with 30 possessions and 23 kicks.
Wow.
And that is... I don't want to quote non-GDS scores, but that was 134 in another format. So if you add on, 23 kicks, that's 157 points the last time he played at GDS at Optus Stadium.
Yep.
So
it's not bad. You take that. You take that for the for the Sunday afternoon game.
And that's in a loss as well. So look, versus Fremantle, I'm just going to assume that he's going to get those kick marks and rack it up with the +3 for the mark and the +4 for the kicks.
Yeah, for sure. And we've seen Freo, they really like to sit back and sort of just zone off at times. And that's really good when they're defending and the ball's rushing. But then they also get punished on the other end when you've got good ball users down back who are happy to just chip around, take possession and slowly dice that sort of zone apart. So I'm with you there, Stealth. I think he's in for a good round, a good bounce back, and I'm back. No worries there, getting him in. My last 3, Flanders. It's pretty nuts to think about the year that he had last year, and he's not in our top 7. He was just so good, but I do have big concerns. We've got John Noble, Dan Rioli. There's lots of really good ball users now at the Suns, which is pretty...
Yeah, what's this asterisk rubbish? You're trying to give yourself an out, and I don't like it.
Look, if he comes, he's playing in the guts, there's definitely a role for him, but I just think Took's playing good now. He's playing some of his best footy in a while. Rao's playing really good. Noah Anderson, their captain, is just unbelievable. there might just be too many mouths to feed. And in a role that was so tasty and so good last season, I think maybe it's just gone. So I've left him there with an asterisk because, he should be in consideration in theory, but I just think it's the wrong time, unfortunately. And I wouldn't be starting him. I wouldn't say he's my 8th. Just thought it was a good conversation sort of to have because, he was unbelievable.
It's a cop-out. Rip into him, Stealth. Ranking
Well,
show. He's
look,
putting asterisks next to it.
I played Flanders last week and I got burnt by a couple of points. I think he just had a slow start, but I watched the second half of the game and he was everywhere. So if he starts off everywhere in this game this week, and he's going to be a lock in the top 7 going for the whole season. Saying that, Tom's top 7 defenders this week are also my top 7. So I did. It was Flanders and Sheasel. That was my decision, and I decided to stick with 3 rounds of proven Sheasel and take his mediocre 100 or 110 instead of going Flanders on his second game back.
Fair.
Yeah,
I like it.
Backing me up. There you go.
Not really ripping into you there, but maybe we can on other positions.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Love it. Yeah, Melissa, so all things considered, Salem or Dale, look, Salem's had a really great start to the year as well. Probably tough not to make it. And I would say the 11th maybe should be 10th if I didn't add Flanders into my top 10. But I'm going to go Dale. I just think the role, and I'm just looking at it as more of a floor. I think Dale has a higher floor in terms of fantasy points just until their team's back to full strength. So rather than maybe Salem has a higher ceiling, but I want to play a little safer this round, and I'm going to go with Dale, hence my rankings as well, for sure.
Yeah, Salem definitely stiff, averaging 120 and not even on the board. But
yeah,
no, I reckon we move on to your mids.
For sure. I do see just a bit of a regression there as well. Great start to the year. We've seen some players before, and then you see sort of them just slide out. But let's get into the mids. The top 2 stay the same top 2. Didn't change them. Jordan Dawson, Josh Dunkley, 2 of the best players in the entire competition. And that is the same case for fantasy and GDS. So make sure you're starting them. Number 3, Noah Anderson has snuck up. He is just sneakily becoming... He's already been one of my favorite players, but he is just unreal. 135 fantasy points last round. His average is around that for the season. He hasn't dipped below, I think, 120 yet. So as a mid, you just got to get him in. He's in way too good a form. His role is just immaculate, and he's just going to continue to deliver.
And shout out to the 3rd member of GameDay Squad. I know you see Tom and myself all the time, but Kerm is one of our 3rd banana, and he's been a Suns fan since day one, and it's been some rough years. And I can't tell you how excited he has been the last few weeks of footy. Suns are good. Noah Anderson, arguably one of the first names on the fantasy squad team sheet.
Exactly.
What a time to be a Suns fan. This may be the best ever time to be a Suns fan. So shout out Suns fans.
100%, 134 average as well. Just check that. That's the 5th highest out of all mids. That is nuts. I know only 2 games played for the Suns, so a smaller sample size. But irrespective, number 4, Liberatore. Wow, he's been playing good. And I should have got him on him earlier. He just doesn't dip below too low. Again, I spoke about the Dogs not having a lot of their ball users. Libba's really had to step up, and he's been doing that in a really big way. So I just think you've got to get Liberatore in. He's the 2nd highest averaging player in GameDay Squad currently. After 3 games, he has an average of 138 fantasy points. Is this an entire season play? Absolutely not. But the beauty is that my rankings are for this round, and I think this round, he is legitimately a top 4 mid option.
What are your thoughts there, Stealth?
Liberatore, he's been in my team from round 0.
Smart.
I've got 2 diamonds. I've been in my play, 1 in Challenger, 1 in Champion, and he's also in Starter and Classic. So he's a lock every week. He's almost like the Merit. It's almost like kind of like when's he going to regress, but also at the end of the round, he's going to be the top 6 midfielder for your team.
Yeah.
So you have to put him in. And just lock and load. I put the rarity for Classic up to gold sometimes. That's where it is this week. And look, he's just great to watch as well. It doesn't matter how many times people, knock into him, try to give him a corky. He's just up and at him and trying to give it back to them.
For sure.
I agree. There are some players that you like playing in your
Yeah.
squad. Love watching them. He's one of them. There's a few people like Sarong. I love having Sarong because he just is always getting the cheap handball. Always seems to find it. Lib is always under the bottom of every contest, so he's easy to go for. But it's interesting. You say Merritt. So Merritt's someone who I know has been in these rankings the whole time. Tom, he's come out.
Sure.
Obviously, Cordwell's been in and around it. So there's a couple of big names out with the bye. Essendon and who's the second one? Hawthorn.
Correct. So not in mids,
Hawthorn,
but for other positions for sure.
Yeah, forward. So there are, it's a bit thinner here, but then you get a couple of good names back who we're going to touch on in green in a second. But honestly, we're pretty much the same for the first four. I got 5 of your top 6. I don't have Tom Green in there.
Well, please don't let me convince you, but I'm going to talk about why Tom Green is in my top 5. He is versing West Coast. It has been the tastiest matchup for mids all season. I think coming into this year, people maybe haven't been thinking about Tom Green as sort of one of those elite fantasy options. But, man, this guy knows how to get his hands on the footy. He can be a little bit of a handball merchant, and maybe that can be part of some of the frustration that the coaches have. Sorry, Cal, I can see you lining up for something.
Yeah, a little. Of he's averaging twice as many handballs as he is kicks.
So look, by a little, I mean a lot.
Opposite to Dawson, who's like 27 kicks per handball.
Yeah. So look, it is tough, but I think Tom Green, he does a little bit of everything. He's going to push forward as well. It's going to be a very tough day in the office for West Coast. I think Giants are one of the best team in the comps, and they're led by Tom Green in the middle. And, he had some injury concerns earlier on. He looks like he's fit. He's been playing plenty of the game. And I think this round, he's really going to make his mark and sort of come back into sort of that top conversation of mids moving forward. Do you have Tommy Green still?
I do love them.
Yeah, look, I am playing Tom Green this week simply because he's playing West Coast, and West Coast are travelling. So I expect him to get 35, 38 possessions. And yes, a lot of them are going to be handballs. But if he can get double-figure kicks, then he's going to be worth base 110, 125 GDS points. And with a little bit of rarity on there, it's going to be really nice at the end of the round as well.
Or maybe you've talked me into
Couldn't
it.
agree
I'll
more.
have to kick someone out.
This was the hardest decision, though, quickly. I'll get into my 6 and 7. Clayton Oliver has just been really solid all year. I actually still might make a last-minute substitution because I just can't. There's no real reason to not have Clary, but yeah, Dacos is in at the moment. Dacos is unbelievable. I guess the only reason I sort of went Dacos is I've been having a look at some of the games that Carlton have played this year, and that big Libba game we just spoke of came against Carlton, and there's been a lot of performances from top mids this year where Carlton has really struggled to defend them. So I just think, with that being said, the type of player Dacos is, I just don't want to bet against someone like that in a round, and I think I'm going to roll with him over Oliver.
Yeah, I've gone Dacos. He's one of my 2 playing tonight, and I've got a little bit of salary cap on him. I've got him gold. I am. I actually think it's going to be a sneaky good game, but I think if there's going to be a player up for it from the Pies, it's going to be Dacos. Loves the big stage. I can see him having a huge one. So I'm all in on that. I don't understand how Clayton Oliver's here, to be honest. I haven't seen him have a game anywhere near the ceiling of some of these players, and that's kind of what you want to floor, but you're also chasing a bit of that upside.
Past 2 rounds, some of these 133, 121. Is that not the ceiling we're looking for?
No.
Look, I think Oliver's definitely a pod for the round. He's big considerations for my team as well, but didn't make the top 6 in the end, and neither Tom's top 6. But playing against Geelong and being in form, he's going to go above his average in this game. And if his average is quite high already, then that's definitely a strong play if you want to put him in your team.
Yeah. Had the one bad round in round 1, 99, so average at 117. But I agree 100% with that. I think he's going to have a good round. But Cal, I do hear your point. I don't think it'd be better than Nick Dacos. Hence why he's at 7. Everyone else.
Nah, it's more. It's like, do I look at this screen and be like, who do I think here can get me 150? And I think there's way more chance of Sarong or Rosie can get me that 150, that big score.
Am I playing some mind games here? The prize card Rosie. I've left him out of the top 7.
Yeah, listen. He's borderline for me, and
I love that.
As you know, he is the reason after the first 2 rounds I was leading the competition. He was the only reason. But I don't know. I have him in here. Obviously, I've got my prize card. I do think we're going to bounce back, but he was poor last week. He was really poor.
The coaches told him and Jason Horne-Francis to really lift their game going forward. So I expect a big game, and I expect Horne-Francis to actually hold on to those easy marks that he's been set up with.
Yeah, that was quite difficult to watch for Horne-Francis last week. Well, I'm sure we'll get to the forwards. I'm keen to see that, but I don't think it'll be as bad for Rosie. But I understand the reason he'd leave him out this week. And Saints, it's such an interesting matchup where they looked so good last week.
Yep,
they've beaten, obviously, win off Geelong. Maybe they're better than we think, and they roll Port.
Maybe
we will see.
So Tom, just with the midfields, there's no Lachie Neale in the top 10.
Yes.
So I don't know if you search by average or whether you put your GDS fantasy cap on, but I really feel like Lachie Neale this week against Richmond without a tag or even a soft tag from McIntosh is definitely top 10 worthy, and for some people will be top 6.
Tell you what, he's got more of a chance of being in my squad than Clayton Oliver.
Exactly. So why is he not in your top 10, Tom?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of doubling up on players in the midfield, because I sort of do like to spend it elsewhere, let's call it, because it does happen, don't get me wrong, but it is very rare that you'll see 2 players explode sort of in the same position on a team. But look, Neil's definitely a great consideration for your squads, and I have actually rolled him throughout this season. I just think I'm looking, and it's a great matchup, don't get me wrong, but Tigers are a bit of they're a little like, I don't know how to read some of their games. Like, in round 1, they played really, really well, and they sort of nullified Carlton, and you saw like Cripps had a pretty solid game. Walsh didn't play really good, but then in other rounds they've been smoked and sort of went back to the norm. So I think there's a little risk in it. Neil is a great player. We have seen him have one of his worst games nearly in his entire career against the Swans early on, but then he bounced back the next round with one of his better games that we've seen in a long time as well. So definitely huge upside.
That's the counter.
Huge upside.
And that's the...
Sorry, go.
And I don't like playing 2 mids together from the same team unless it's a good matchup. But we saw Neil and Dunkley together 2 weeks ago. I think they both went 150 plus against. So it can happen. You can do it. There's a couple of teams you'd be considering doing that this week. I know you've got Miller in here. We'll touch on in a second before we keep moving over Rao. But I could also see the Anderson and Rao. But I know we've got to keep rolling.
Let's keep it moving.
We've got to get this game going. So,
but great question. None of the less stealth. And look, that could be one of those ones. I think it's a really strong mid-round. I think it's really good, great options, great matchups all around. And I guess the people who are going to perform and coaches perform the best are going to be able to put that puzzle together the best and find those matchups. So maybe it is fading Dunkley if everyone's going and Neil. Who knows? Let's get into some rucks. Now, Marshall, he's back. He scared us all this preseason with this injury stuff and, round 1 playing up forward. But my goodness, when he plays ruck, he is the best of the competition still. He's had that title for a little longer than I would like to admit, with my old boy Tingles down the bottom there at number 5. But yeah, he is the best ruck in the comp, and he should be the number 1 ruck you start with. I think 2 and 3 here is really where you're going to win it this round. I'm going TDK. I'm a little concerned about Cherry. I know he's come out of training a little early this round. There's been some whispers that maybe he's not at 100%. He has been named, so it's not that he's not going to be starting, but will he be fully fit to play? And can we expect the Tristan Cherry that we see, the workhorse, getting around the ground, getting tackles, possessions, etc.? So I'm a little concerned with it, hence why I'm going to roll out TDK. He's been in great form. He's been one of the best rucks for the season, irrespective. But yeah, that decision right there for me is where I think a lot of coaches might get stuck. And if you nail it, then I think you're going to have a better round than many others. So TDK is where I'm leaning. Cherry just missing out only because of some concerns with health.
What do you think there, Stealth?
Yeah, look, Marshall's definitely first pick for me. I actually don't think he's going to be the top scorer in the ruck position for the round, but he's just ultra consistent. He's shown us what he can do. And look, if he ends up being the top scorer, fantastic. but I think he's going to be in the top 3, and therefore he's a lock for me.
Love it.
TDK, unfortunately, he slid down the ranks for me. And
spicy.
look, I love this young guy. He's absolutely fantastic.
He's
in some other leagues of mine, so I'm really looking forward to watching him every single round. But I just see that this is going to come to a surprise, but I see Darcy Cameron scoring more points than him this round.
Oh, wow.
And that is my big call for the round. There's no by any means any money on that, but without Mason Cox,
there's some pride. There's some pride in the Discord for sure.
Like TDK has really come along, and this is his year, and next year and so forth. But Darcy Cameron has owned him in previous games, and I just don't think, and the Collingwood midfield, I just don't think TDK is going to get those easy midfield possessions outside of his ruck work. And
fair enough, because he has been getting a lot of hands on.
Moving forward to who my second pick is Max Gawn. I don't know what his personal issue was last week, but we do have Max Gawn against Sam DeConning in Geelong, and he could be the top scorer for that match. He could be getting 130,
against
140
SDK.
GDS points.
Yeah.
SDK. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, wow.
So,
wow. Love it,
definitely,
though.
definitely Max Gawn, and I'm happy to fade Xeri as well.
I like it. I like it. I've gone to Koning and Marshall as well, Tom. I've actually gone big on both of them this season. I've been rolling with my big rucks, putting as much salary cap as I can in Classic on them, and it's working well so far. So I've actually gone to Koning. What scares me is that Collingwood has had the least points scored against them by ruckman all season. So it's not a lovely matchup. And Marshall, Port Adelaide also is third. So it's not like Port give up a lot to rucks as well. So yeah, it'll be. I won't be surprised if there are a few pods played this week and we get a few unexpected people. But for me, it's those first 3. And yeah, if you're worried about the injury, a big.
Like if you want me to put your mind at ease a little, and respectfully to the Port Power, but you had Collingwood round 1, so the ruck points were definitely the numbers are gonna be inflated, and having a bye as well. So only 2 games, And the other ruck they had was Tingles, and I wish I could say he dominated. He did not. Let's get in the forward line. Top 2, Bailey Smith, McRae. You're going to see my squad a little later in terms of how I distribute salary cap. But, yeah, big on these guys. I think they get in for a huge year. Caleb Daniel, amazing player. His role that he has at North, just kicking in, just being around the back. They love a chip mark sort of game. They don't mind to switch it as well. And they're looking for him every time they can. Rankin, been really good, getting more time in the midfield. This is a fantasy coach's dream. This is what we've been waiting for. We always knew he was a good forward, but to go to the next level, he needed the CBAs and the midfield time. He's been getting it. Simpkin, maybe have him a little higher than others. Maybe some people have faded him, but after last round, I assume a lot of people might get him back in. Simpkin, so good. Playing in the midfield, 148, 94, and 143 are his scores for the season. So in a position where forwards can be volatile, I've gone to go with someone who I think is a little safer and has a bit of a higher floor, but also, as we just saw there, he can have those boom games as well. So I'm pretty big on Simpkin for the year, but definitely for the round as well.
Like it. I might throw to you first, Stealth, because I want to chat about something else in a second, because I'm pretty much the same as you, Tom. I've got my top 7 are in your top 8. So, our top 6 is top 6.
Yeah, I'll just try a little positive sandwich here. So it looks like I've got the same top 5, but saying that, Tom, you've got 2 North players in the top 5, and this is something you said that you try and avoid.
Yes, so I also have 2 Saints players in the defense.
Obviously, you're picking. That's number 7. Yeah, I guess you see that. But you're going Daniel over Simpkin, and
for sure,
I do back that up because you never know what the Swans are going to do in the midfield with Jordan. Whereas Daniel's always there in the back line. He's either taking the kick out or he pokes out behind nowhere and takes the mark from the kick out because no one can find him. So, Daniel's a solid forward pick this season, and everyone should be on him. I watched his game last week, and he's just everywhere if he's not on the bench. And I don't even know why he needs a rest, really. But also, now that we've come to the forwards, Tom, I've not seen any Sydney Swan players in your top however many players you've put forward today. There's been about 50 and
35.
no Sydney Swan players. So runners up last year, got absolutely flogged.
We did. Thank you
and
for
there's no
reminding me.
fantasy selections in your
Thank
round.
you.
this
Yeah,
week.
feel free to bring that up. He loves it.
Any day,
Yeah.
any day.
Look, until Errol Goulden is back, Swans will be parked for me for the foreseeable future. There are some pod plays if you really wanted to go there, but look, I personally wouldn't be dipping into the Swans basket too often this year. Chad Warner, so volatile. He can score 150. He can then score 40 the next round. Haney is probably the safer option, but in terms of upside and mids, you're not going to get that sort of same score that we see from others. So, look, again, I wouldn't – he's not even in my top 10.
You're kidding yourself. Matty Roberts is the best Swans fantasy player at the moment. It's not close.
At the moment. But, look,
There's
defense
no one
is so
close.
strong.
I am mindful of the time, Tom, and I am mindful that you've got two Luke Jacksons in here, so I'm really keen to hear which
At
one.
least he's got them in the right order.
Yeah.
I played them before the bronze.
Yeah, you've nailed that. You spoke about Tom Green in the midfield. The person I'm going with up forward this week, Jesse Hogan.
Yeah,
Hogan.
Jesse Hogan. You know how big of a score when a forward kicks a bag in GameDay Squad, and I'm looking at that West Coast game being like, Jesse Hogan can kick 6, and I'll be riding that home on the Sunday.
Actually,
I don't know whether I should be playing Tom Green as well, but I know now I'm nervous, right? Because I did these swings last year when I wasn't in the contention for the seasonal comp, but I do think playing Jesse Hogan is a big swing, and if you're on Sunday and you're not looking good, maybe get him in there, save your round.
Well, it's definitely a round for a key forward. And, there's been seasons there where anyone who plays West Coast twice has won the Coleman.
True. Very valid. Very, very valid. But it's a good play. I don't mind it. And if I'm not mistaken, he actually broke the GameDay Squad record for most points in a game against West Coast. That's a little scary thought to have that I don't have him in my squad at the moment. Stealth, I'll put up your squad here. Champion rank currently for the season, 18th. Loving the squad. You've got Walshy in. Prize card as well, mind you. That's a very beautiful card in that midfield. So you've got a couple players tonight. Talk to me about some of the decisions.
Yeah, I guess comparing this to your squads that you've just put up recently, the biggest difference you're seeing is my midfield. I've gone Walsh prize card. That's simply because he's my only prize card of the season. So I was very happy to achieve him last year. It was a tough battle right towards the end of the championship round. But now that I've got him, he'll be in my classic team every single round. And if he pops 2 or 3 times, then it's going to help me be up the top of the ranks for the round, which is what I want. Looking at my other midfielders, except for Rosie, I didn't realize Butters was in, but Dacos, Liberatore, Green, and Neil, they're going to get 35 possessions most rounds. So, why wouldn't you pick them? And if they can convert their kick to handball ratio towards the kicks, then that's going to be even better for my squad. And I've already touched on Gawn and Marshall as my rucks. In terms of the forward line, I haven't gone with any key forwards, but I did consider Jeremy Cameron because I do feel like Geelong, and yes, they are my team.
Well, you've got the triple-double, I've just realised, in the forward line. The double North, double Saints, and the double Geelong.
Yeah,
little trio.
I ordered them by rarity and then sort of by average, I guess.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, I really like it. I
can't really go wrong there, unless Walsh just flops again. But that's the risk I'm going to take by having his prize card. And
just noticed you've got the double Saints pairing down back and putting a little bit of extra salary cap. I'll be liking the matchup there in compared to other defenders. Was that a strategic thing with the salary cap? Or
I definitely think Zorko is going to be the top scorer of the round, but maybe it just came down to availability of cards. But I'll just review that after tonight's game, to be honest.
Love it. Alrighty. Well, there's Stealth Squad. Cal, let's get your squad on screen. we've been doing a lot of talking. Let's look at what you're rolling out with. And wow, speaking of salary cap, loves to load up through the middle.
Loves going big with my rucks. You can see I've got Dacos and De Koning for tonight. Yeah, pretty much like I said, nothing new and exciting here. I still have a couple 100,000 to split across. I don't know if I like the Lions against the Tigers or if I like the Suns or if I try and go like a Tom Green there. So I'm not exactly sure where I put the salary. And I'm not sure if Tom Green survives. I don't know if I want to go double Giants or if I just want to play the one. But yeah, I'm going big with De Koning tonight. I think it's going to be a big turnaround. And I think if I'm going to be upset...
Whoa. Sam Flanders in defense after roasting me for having him at 8.
No, I was roasting you for having a little hashtag beside him, trying to give yourself an out. I'm not set. You can have him in there, mate. Just be decisive about it. But yeah, if I'm going to be miserable on Sunday, I think it's going to be because of De Koning tonight. So yeah, if he goes big tonight, yeah, a long time, but we'll get to it.
Alrighty. Well, look, let me show my squad quickly because everyone last round thought, I'm showing my rankings and not showing my squad. I do put the players in my rankings into my squad, but here's my salary cap and how I'm doing it. You can see here, All-Star Dane Zorko. I think he's going to be one of the best scoring players. I'm loading up on Lockie Whitfield. I think his floor is really good. I've got silvers through the middle other than Dacos, and then I've gone gold here and gold Jackie McRae as well. These are just high-scoring players that have really good floors, and they've been starting this year nuts. So if I'm trying to put some salary cap, I want those players who can explode, and hopefully he can catapult me from my current position back into the hunt.
Well, it's gone one part. It's 1-2, which means De Koning's locked. So I'm stuck with that decision. So I think we've got to wrap it up.
Absolutely.
Stealth, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great to have you give Tom a bit of stick for some of his stuff, and you've caught him out on some of his BS, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, mate. Thank you for coming on, spending your time, showing us your squad. Of course, the best of luck for the season and for the round. Hopefully we can get some good results here. We've just spoken about footy for the past, 45 minutes. That doesn't always translate to good results, as I've found out the hard way the first couple of rounds. But I'm banking this one. This is the one, Stealth. I needed you to come here, talk to me, and now we're getting it back on track. So, yeah, appreciate your time. And for everyone that left a comment, that interacted with us, yeah, best of luck to you all as well. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch all your legends.